Ron Miller Race Car Studio, this is the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer and Ron Miller.
Welcome, race fans, to the Hammer Down Racing Report for, can you hear?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were having some hearing problems over there.
No. Somebody else is having hearing problems.
It's a Hammer Down Racing Report for May 2nd. It's hard to believe it's May already.
Yeah, it feels like February, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. Good show on tap for you tonight. We have a big announcement coming up, kind of a piggyback of a big announcement from last week. Also, we'll be talking to 2017 Fremont Speedway 410 champ Cap Henry. He's also leading the Attica Fremont Championship Series points.
AFCF.
That too.
Yes.
That's
the one, yeah.
And what else was there?
That one just doesn't roll off the tongue quite right.
AFCS does. I mean, I'm okay with it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's harder to say Attica Fremont Championship Series, unless you're practicing it. Brian, this guy probably has it down by now.
Well, that's because he's good.
Yeah. Oh, ouch.
Ouch. Yeah.
I'm going to go cry. Sorry, we're just a couple minutes starting late if you're checking out our live broadcast. Again, we are live on Facebook and Twitter and Periscope and YouTube all at the same time.
As well as Facebook.
So we were having some issues, and apparently it looks like it's working, I guess. But thank you for being with us. We're live from the Ron Miller Race Cars Studio. Again, thanks to Inner Circle Avenue and their song New Trend, or new theme song, which we can't really hear in the studio because it only goes out our live broadcast. And if you are listening to us on iHeartRadio or iTunes or any of the other popular podcasting
aforementioned options,
you probably wouldn't hear that song. You only get that on our live broadcast. So there you go. Special treat for the live listeners.
So maybe that's a reason for those folks to tune in every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, Hammer Down Racing Report on Facebook.
There you go. And if you're commenting on YouTube or Periscope, I can only monitor one thing. I'm not super talented, so we're only watching the comments on Facebook. So if you comment and you're upset that we didn't respond and you're watching us on YouTube, that's why. We might respond later. I'll go through the comments later. Visit us on the web, hammerdownracingreport.com. That's where you got all the links to everywhere you can consume us. Not really eat us, but listen, consume us with your ears. Make sure to follow our new Twitter at Hammer Reports. And we have all those new sponsorship opportunities as well, which you can check out under the advertising information on hammerdownracingreport.com. So,
are we done with the important stuff?
Should we do the big announcement? I want to do the big announcement soon here, but did you want to get into something here first?
No. I just thought we should get into the show.
Well, all right.
I realize you have to cover all those bases.
Well, we got to talk about Ron Miller race cars, too.
Yeah, they're pretty cool guys, I understand.
Are they still super busy? You'd think you'd have time to catch up with all the rainouts recently.
Yeah, well, as we discussed earlier, it seems like most of our racers hibernated all winter, and they're just playing catching up. There's a whole lot of racers right now that are hoping this weekend doesn't happen.
And there's a whole bunch that are hoping that this weekend happens. So.
And
we'll talk about everything that's on the table as far as races that are scheduled, and already one has been canceled that we know of as of coming on the air tonight. Lima Land's opener tomorrow night has already been canceled. But we'll go over everything else. We got your official weekend weather pit stop. Ryan Weekman is back with that.
If you happen to hear of anything while we're on the air that may be canceled for this weekend, let us know.
There you go. And congratulations, Mark Burns. You're a top fan. Way to go.
Yay, Mark.
Facebook started this new thing, Top Fans.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess it's, I don't know. It's people that interact with us a lot. I guess I'm a top fan of the Oakshade page. I'm not sure how that happened. So.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah.
Anywho, give Ron a call, 734-856-7223. He's got race cars, parts, safety equipment, service, tires. You got any specials going on this week?
No.
Everything's a special every week.
That's it.
Okay. Anything you're trying to get rid of?
Nope.
Whoa.
Nope. Whoa. I'm good.
Those of you who are listening to us on the podcast have no idea what just happened, but Ron looked at his wife. Big
No,
announcement.
I'm good. Trust me.
Big announcement. We talked last week. Chris Mize, and this has just been like a week old. It's still pretty new. Chris Mize from Sandusky Speedway called up and said, "Hey, we got a new race coming up this fall."
Yeah, the phone lines were still hot when we talked about this on the air last week.
So, and I thought it was a pretty cool idea, and we're going to be there anyways. And
Right.
we're going to talk more about this here in just a minute. But so I said, "Hey, Chris, how about we do a deal where we call it the Hammer Down Racing Report Dirty Thursday?" He's like, "Okay, that's cool."
Presented by.
Well, I don't know about the
We
presented
don't
by yet.
we don't know that
I
yet.
don't know.
I
The nail salon that's down the street.
I know that was going to be pitched to those good folks.
We'll see how that works. There's some things still being worked out with that, but make sure to mark your calendars for Thursday. It's a Thursday night, October 3rd. We're actually going to be doing the show live from there. We may be doing it a little early. Times have not been worked out as far as race times and everything else.
It could be kind of frantic that
Yeah.
night, but
Because we're going to be doing this and doing some racing, too.
yeah,
I
both
hope.
of us.
Because it's Dirty Thursday. If you missed the big announcement last week, it's part of the, well, it's going to kick off the cavalcade weekend
It'll be
for
the
them.
prelude
Yeah.
to the cavalcade.
There you go. Thursday night, it's the Dirty Thursday or Getting Dirty on the Asphalt. Name still being hashed out as well. Or we can go with both. But UMP Dirt Late Models. That's that's going to be the
UMP rule
headlining.
dirt late models.
There you go. And with the tires, you're not going to use
Right, they will be dirt tires.
So you don't have to buy new tires.
Right, LM 20s, 30s, or 40s.
Okay. That is going to be the premier class for that night.
I'm thinking that the race format will be heats and a feature. The feature, I'm thinking 30, 35 laps and trucks that are there, and they will also be on any 8-inch wide dirt tire.
It may be a pizza place sponsoring.
Really?
Dean says, yeah.
Dean said that.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be exciting.
Getting dirty with Big D's Pizza.
We're going to have to sample the pizza before that event, though, just to make sure that.
So again, late models. So if you got a dirt late model, make sure to mark that Thursday on your calendar. Come on out. We don't know what the purse is going to be yet.
October 3rd.
October 3rd. Yeah, so you got some time. You don't need to buy new tires for this. You don't have to do any. You don't have to put the big sideboard on or anything like Ron likes to do for New Year's Day. This is
Right.
Regular dirt late models.
Dirt UMP rules. We're not suggesting at this point that it's a UMP sanctioned race.
Correct.
But,
But the rules will be what UMP is.
body, engine, and chassis.
And then you were talking we're going to have a couple other classes as well. We're going to have the Fremont dirt trucks and the Oakshade bombers, but it's a 2-barrel carburetor rule. So if you have a 4-barrel like my car, you're going to have to unhook
the secondary linkage,
There you
which
go.
is
which I can
piece of
do.
cake.
I can do
Right.
on my own now.
You
I
can-
did have to ask Corey. I was like, no, which thing do I need to pull out here? At the
the one that's
hangover
hooked to the
race.
gas pedal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I figured it out. It was like, oh, I could have figured that out. So, yeah, pretty easy. 2-second change there if you are running a 4-barrel. If any of you dirt truck drivers, late model drivers, or bomber drivers are planning to head on out to this race, we want to kind of keep track of who's going to be coming out, and we'll help promote that as well.
Right.
And then a third class, which I think we're still not, I guess we haven't totally gone over the rules on that, but it's going to be a front-wheel drive class. I didn't know when Chris called last week, we were talking about the dirt guys versus the asphalt guys.
Yep, dirt versus pavement. So,
but-
that could be interesting.
That could be. It usually is at the hangover race, too. So. I was going to... Cap is bringing pizza? Oh. I'm kind of trying to
Okay.
keep up on all the comments. They're having their own conversation there on Facebook. But
Really.
So, yeah, very exciting event. October 3rd, Sandusky Speedway. Times to be determined yet, and as well as purse and general admission, all that stuff. We still have to figure that out, but definitely make sure to mark that on your calendar.
A customer told me this week that this isn't. It's happening in several places in the country, and I guess the response has been really good.
Didn't Chris say he did this down in Georgia?
Yeah,
and it was got a big response.
Dirt cars do very well on the pavement. Pavement cars on dirt doesn't work works so very well. So, yeah, this is a crossover, and it'll give both the dirt and pavement fans something really interesting
different
to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Something different, and it hasn't been done around here that I know of. I mean, I know you've raced at Toledo Speedway, but I think that was an outlaw show.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
no, that was that was a dirt versus pavement thing.
Okay, but this is just dirt cars on the asphalt.
Yeah,
it's in dusty.
If some of our listeners want to take a peek at that, it's on YouTube. Toledo Speedway 1985.
Shane Yoder's listening here.
Really?
Yeah, maybe he'll make a comeback. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Dirty Thursday, October 3rd, Shane Yoder's return to dirt late model racing on asphalt. That's not really a headline. That could be. It could be.
Shane had an experience at Toledo Speedway a few years back with a sportsman car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
he's kind of run everything.
Yeah.
He's run ARCA.
Yeah, he's run some big tracks with ARCA.
He'd probably be a ringer there, maybe.
Multi-talented Shane Yoder.
So that's the big announcement. It's the Hammer Down Racing Report, Dirty Thursday, coming Thursday, October 3rd.
We got to talk about it.
So don't embarrass us. Come on, guys. Let's get it. Let's make this huge. That'll be cool. Because
huge.
Otherwise, if
absolutely huge.
3 people show up, nobody's going to listen to the show anymore, and we'd go away. And what would you do on a Thursday night? Right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about some other things.
Okay.
Other thing with Cap Henry, we'll be talking to him. Crap, I told him in probably about 10 minutes or so. He is also leading the points, Fremont too, 410s.
All right.
So he's got a pretty good start. Granted, they've only run one night, but he's got a pretty good start at Fremont already.
Do you want to talk about the dirt car press release now, or do you want to wait till after we talk to Cap?
Let's go through last week's racing.
Was there any?
There was, as a matter of fact, and we'll get to the how many and who won that coming up a little bit later. Because,
well, that's convoluted because
kind of. Last week, of course, most tracks rained out. Attica, Oakshade, Fremont, Eldora, Flat Rock. Sandusky did get things started. They got hot laps in and their demo derby, and then I guess the skies opened up there. So really the only one to get a full, program in the immediate area was Toledo Speedway, who postponed the Raleigh Bill Classic from Saturday until Sunday, which seemed to be a good move because Sunday was a pretty nice day.
Now, did we, in our how many, did we include I-96?
We did not.
Okay, all right.
But I do have I-96 on my list.
I knew that.
Were you looking at my notes?
Oh. Clairvoyant.
A lot of action at Toledo Speedway on Sunday. Sounds like that was the place to be, definitely. Cody Swanson, started on the pole of the USAC Silver Crown 100 lap feature to win his second race of the season. Interesting thing with Bobby Santos and Aaron. And Bobby Santos, if you haven't seen the video, which is on our Facebook page, was pretty much challenging Pierce to a fight right there on the front stretch. Let's drop the fists.
Well, at least they did. They were planning on doing it in the front stretch instead of the pits.
And he said, let's leave the cars out of it. It's just you and me.
The people in the grandstands pay good money. They should have the opportunity to watch.
Isn't that Earl's old rule?
That's it.
If you fight in the pits, I'm kicking
gone.
you out. If you fight on the front stretch, I'll give you a bonus. Whatever it was.
$100.
Yeah. So anyways, both those drivers, they got back in their sprint cars, the Auto Value Bumper to Bumper Series sprints. And some more strange things happened with that. And actually, Bobby Pierce was caught up in one of those things. He ended up flipping down the front stretch.
Bobby Pierce?
I'm sorry, Bobby Santos.
Okay.
I got my asphalt and my dirt mixed up.
All right. Yeah.
Bobby Santos went flipping down the front stretch after a strange and nasty accident on lap 3 of the sprint car feature. Started after Dameron Taylor hit the wall coming off of turn 4. He came to rest in the middle of the track and sat there for quite a while, and then a pack came off of turn 4.
The leaders,
well after the caution had come out.
The leaders split him, one on each side.
And the pack just smoked him, and I almost said Bobby Santos ended up flipping down the front stretch there, and a couple other cars got up in the air, and I guess Taylor was taken to the hospital for observation after getting hit there pretty hard. And there was
real hard.
Yeah, there was The video, that video I have also on our Facebook page, too, if you
Okay.
haven't seen that. Did you see that?
Oh, I did.
What,
Absolutely.
Well, I reached out to Scott Schultz of Toledo Speedway to get their take on it,
Right.
with their
no,
side.
No, I understand that.
Because there's two sides to every story.
I understand that USAC brought their own people to that race. Is that correct?
That I believe so, but I believe the Auto Value Bumper to Bumper Sprint Series, Super Series, I think is actually what it's called, that have their own people as well, their own flagman and
Okay.
official in the tower. Because I guess some of the drivers are saying they didn't see the yellow lights. You could see the flag clearly
the flag
waving
was waving the
right
yellow
on
flag
top of
like
it.
crazy.
Yeah, he was
no
waving
question
it
about
like
that.
a good 10 seconds before they came off that corner. You can't see.
Assume those guys use receivers, and
They do have, I guess, I don't know if they run like spotters at some tracks. I think they might, but
I don't know.
But at Toledo on Sunday, it was just the one-way communication with the
Right.
receiver.
certainly someone should have been yelling yellow, yellow, yellow.
Well, the drivers involved that were also taken out, Cody Gallagly, I think, Taylor Ferns, Tony Main, Eric Gordon were also involved there and taken out. As I mentioned, Taylor was taken to the hospital for further evaluation. Scott Schultz, I did ask, I wanted to get, see what
Sure.
happened behind the scenes that not everybody sees. He says that the yellow flag came out and the lights went on. He also said the Auto Value Sprint official in the tower delivered the message via radio
Okay.
as well. So whether or not that got across or maybe there's something wrong with the lights, I don't know. But for some reason, Tony Main, who was one of the drivers that were caught up in that accident, stated on his Facebook page that he did not hear anything or see lights. And it kind of looked like several of the other drivers may not have seen that as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
bad deal right there for everybody involved, really. But again, it wasn't the regular Toledo Speedway crew running that show.
Right.
So
It wasn't their person in the tower, and it wasn't their flagman.
yeah, Chris Mize, Auto Value, Super Sprints. Fighting pits, 2 weeks, $200 fine. Fight on the front stretch. Pay you each $100. Chris Mize. There you go. Sandusky Speedway, new rules.
All right. Especially for Dirty Thursday,
Yes, especially
right?
for Dirty Thursday. I-96 had the Sunoco American Late Model Series opener for the 25th season. Rusty Schlenk got the win there, beating last week's winner up at Crystal, Logan Arts. So Rusty's been racing up in Michigan because that seems to be the only
Right.
place racing around here.
This time of year, I mean, Michigan could have snow, but they're the only ones getting shows in.
Well, they have the Whiteout 100.
Yeah.
Raced up there in February. The World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprints. We saw Brad Sweet leading the entire distance at Lake Ozark Speedway Friday night. He survived a late race bobble to take the checkered flag. Saturday's race at Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 was rained out. Sunday's event at Jacksonville Speedway was washed out as the last chance qualifier was on the track. So this weekend, they're scheduled to be at Riverside International Speedway in Arkansas, and that's tomorrow night, and Tri-State Speedway on Saturday in Indiana. Lucas Oil, Late Model Series, whole weekend rained out. Tri-Cities event has been postponed to Thursday, July 11th, and Macon Speedway was postponed to July 23rd. This weekend was supposed to be the Knoxville Toyota 50 at Tazewell Speedway, Tennessee. That was going to be tomorrow, and the 33rd annual Ralph Latham Memorial at Florence in Kentucky. Those events have already been postponed due to weather. Series will return to Tazewell on Friday, the 28th in Florence the next night. That's June 28th, that is.
No, that's World of Outlaws?
Lucas Oil Late Model.
Lucas, okay. All right. Now, isn't World of Outlaws somewhere south of here this weekend, too?
I think so.
You don't have that.
I didn't write that down.
Well, fine.
I know.
Jeez.
I can't remember everybody's schedule. 18-year-old Todd Gilliland won at Talladega on Friday night. The ARCA Series will have the Mucus City 200
Music City.
at the Fairgrounds Speedway in Tennessee. In Nashville, I do believe that's Saturday at 9 o'clock on MAV TV.
There were some pretty damp eyes after Gilliland won that race.
I didn't see
Family
that.
members. It was really touching, Scott.
Well, that's good.
I liked it.
Okay. Tyler Reddick overcame a brush with the wall and pit road speeding penalty to win the Xfinity race at Talladega on Saturday. And Chase Elliott benefited from the Chevys teaming up in the Geico 500 to win on Sunday in the Cup race. Kyle Larson had a pretty crazy crash there at the very end of that. Got up in the air and hit
as many sprint car races as he has raced in and as many tumbles as he's taken in sprint cars, he said that was the worst.
Yeah. It didn't look fun.
Oh,
and especially in slow motion, it does go forever.
Yeah. I'll bet sitting in the car it felt like it.
He did climb out. He was fine, so everything's good there. This weekend they're at actually all three. The touring series is at Dover. The trucks Friday night. The Jugs 200 at 5 p.m. You can watch that on Fox Sports 1. Xfinity on Saturday. That's at 1 p.m. Also on Fox Sports 1. The Cup race will also be on Fox Sports 1, I believe. I didn't write that down. I think it is, but that's at 2 o'clock on Sunday. But one thing I did notice on Sunday's race, because I did watch most of the Talladega race, was the amount of empty seats in the crowd, in the stands there, was not very evident. There wasn't very many empty seats.
No, it looked like it was a whole lot better attended than Bristol, which
is weird.
Yeah,
Bristol is usually the hardest ticket to get.
Absolutely.
But those guys down in Alabama, there's some diehard fans down there, I guess.
Maybe it was a better weekend.
So maybe they should rethink the whole trying to focus on the short tracks, and maybe they just need a whole bunch of Talladegas now.
Going to NASCAR, talk to us about the qualifying.
Yes. You know about that, right?
I do.
All right. How about you go about that? I'm going to dial up Cap Henry.
All right, cool.
How about that?
The NASCAR has decided that they're going back to single-car qualifying, and they didn't state it as such, but they know that the multi-car qualifying was a travesty, and they're not going to be doing that anymore. Back to single-car qualifying, and I think it should work out much better.
Hope so. They finally gave in, though. Like, you didn't see that coming, right?
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again.
Did you dial 1, Scott?
No. Maybe I need to do that.
Yeah.
I think everything in the 419 area code, though, is... I'm trying it again without a 1. Maybe I didn't hit all the buttons. It's possible.
If you didn't hit all the buttons, it wouldn't have said anything.
Hey, but see, now it's ringing. I must have missed a button.
Hello?
Hey, is this Mr. Henry?
It sure is.
Hey, it's Scott Hammer, Ron Miller from the Hammer Down Racing Report. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Pretty
Wonderful.
good.
Welcome.
Welcome, yes. Welcome to the show.
Perfect.
Before we get into what you have going on, we were just talking about the NASCAR qualifying stuff. Do you watch NASCAR at all? Do you care about NASCAR?
I watched it a little bit.
Okay. You what's your feeling about the whole qualifying debacles they've had? Do you think do you agree with the decision to go back to single car qualifying?
Yeah, I think for the purpose of what qualifying really is, it should always be single car qualifying. They had a really, really weird qualifying format, and it never really made any sense to me. So I think for like the pinnacle of, what's supposed to be like the pinnacle of U.S. motorsport to an extent, that single car qualifying is definitely the way to go.
Well, and they had hoped to introduce drafting into qualifying, and I don't see
that's where the problem is.
I don't see where drafting and qualifying should be used in the same sentence.
Yeah, at that point it becomes, qualifying to me has always been, it's just about trying to get the most out of your one car for a lap, and then it, with having the draft and all that, it becomes a team effort, and to me it just doesn't seem right.
Well, and qualifying should also be the driver picking the right line, hitting the right marks.
It seems like things are changing, though. I mean, as far as like short tracks, used to be single car qualifying, and now that we have transponders, that's kind of gone to group qualifying. And now NASCAR was doing
tracks.
That's what I meant. Yeah, the weekly tracks, and now NASCAR is kind of going away from the group qualifying that didn't work and going back to single car. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means anything. It's just kind of an interesting little trend there.
Most of the races that you run, Cap, are they group qualifying, or do you qualify single car?
We do a lot of both. So Attica does group car qualifying versus like Fremont. And most of the time, the All Stars, it's all single car qualifying. The Outlaws is all single car qualifying. And I think Fast does. I think they do group qualifying now. But for like a weekly short track deal, I understand the point of doing qualifying. It's group cars just to try and speed it up a little bit. The biggest thing I've always disliked about Attica is that they do your group qualifying in hot laps, so you don't really get a hot lap session to start the night. But it kind of is what it is.
It's dual purpose.
What are your thoughts on group qualifying versus single car?
I always prefer single car just because, to me, it always made things simpler because as a driver, you could watch what the one guy on the racetrack was doing before you had to run to try and figure out what you had to do. And then the other thing is I've had a couple group car qualifying sessions through over the years at different racetracks to where you get caught up behind a slow car.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it can really mess up your day.
Yeah, wasn't that a fight at Phoenix? Was that a couple of the guys were upset because
Kevin Harvick, I think.
No, it wasn't Harvick. It was the Suarez and somebody. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
So how long have you been racing?
I've been racing 410 sprint cars now for 10 years. I started racing go-karts when I was 5, so it's been a few years.
What was in between go-karts and 410s?
I ran a 305 for a little bit, and I ran a pavement midget over at Speedrome in Indiana. But I pretty much went from karts into the 305s. I ran some mini sprint stuff indoors, but nothing ever outdoors.
Have you ever run stock car, late model, bomber?
No, I have never run anything with fenders on it.
Okay. Any desire to?
I would try it. We have talked about doing it for some people over the years, and nothing's ever really worked out. And I've just never made too big of a push for it.
Okay. So you said you got started in running the go-karts when you were 5?
Yep.
And how'd you get into that? Was it a family thing or?
Yeah. So my grandpa raced, my uncle, and my dad both raced, and so it was kind of a family thing. But so my dad and uncle had quit racing before I was ever born, and there was a local kart track just down the street from where my grandparents lived. And so finally, the one day, I talked to my grandpa. You could hear the go-karts in their house, so I talked to my grandpa to take me down there so I could see it. And it turned out that when my dad showed up, that the guy that ran the track, my grandpa gave him his first ever run in the go-kart. So the guy let my dad run his kart, and that's where it started from.
A lot of guys, they still jump in a go-kart and run it. There's all kinds of go-kart tracks around the area. You ever get back in a kart, or are those too slow for you now?
No, I still I run karts whenever I can.
Okay.
Last weekend when we rained out, my dad actually runs the go-kart track in Fremont, and I took the time when we were off that me and a crew guy went over, and his boy has just started go-kart racing. So we spent the weekend every day after it rained out, we went over there and we practiced and tested and helped him out and getting him going.
Go-karts, who's better, you or John Ivey?
I don't know. I've beat John a handful of times, but John's got a couple more years experience than I do.
You calling John old?
Experience.
Experience, yeah. That's what I call you, Ron. You're experienced.
Yeah, don't start.
There we go.
So other than the 2017 track championship at Fremont in the 410s, what other championships do you have? Do you have any other ones?
I have actually never won a championship in a 410 sprint car.
Okay. No.
I actually the last time I won any kind of track championship or series was when I was running kart stuff. So that's been a long-term goal, is to finally win something.
Well, you won opening night at Fremont. What was that, like 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, it was almost on the verge of 3 weeks ago, I think.
Holy cow! Well, you must. I couldn't think of a better way to kick off your season this year, and with the Attica Fremont Championship Series. Are you running in that as well?
The plan is to actually run the Attica Fremont Sprint Car Series. We're kind of going to see how it goes. If we keep running well and keep staying up front, we'll keep at it. If we have a bad night or something and drop back, we'll probably kind of venture out more.
Don't I remember seeing you on TV a few times? Maybe MAV TV?
Yeah, we would have been on TV during some of the Ohio Speed Week All-Star races.
All right. Have you ventured out west at all? Knoxville or any of those shows?
Yeah, I actually, not with the lane racing team, but I actually made the Knoxville Nationals and finished 10th in 2013.
I thought I remembered that.
Yeah, I did the All-Star deal for a total of 4 different years. So I've run out as far as North Dakota, South Dakota, and then I actually had a stint in the Buffalo Wild Wings car. And I ran Knoxville. We ran down in Texas and stuff out that way.
Oh, that's pretty exciting.
Well, what was your highest finishing position in points with the All-Stars?
I finished, I believe it was 4th every year I raced with them.
That's not bad. That's pretty good. Now, how long have you been with Lane?
I've been with the Lane Racing team since 2017, and we've, in that time span, we've won a total of 10 features together already.
And they're based out of Michigan?
Yeah, Armada, Michigan, actually north of Detroit.
Okay. So how did that deal come together?
It actually just came together. I had just finished with the Buffalo Wild Wings car and had just gotten home from that. And Brian Smith had decided that he was going to leave the Lane Racing team. So I gave Brian a call, and he hooked me up with Brett's phone number. And I called him up, and he decided to give me the opportunity.
Okay. What track do you consider your home track? Fremont?
Attica is definitely my home track.
Okay.
It is 10 minutes from my house.
Okay.
Would that make Attica your favorite track? Obviously, you've run a lot.
It's definitely up there as one of my favorites. I'd say Waynesfield and Huset, South Dakota are my favorites, but Attica is definitely up in the top 5.
Okay. Who would you consider maybe your biggest rival, racing rival?
I don't really think that I have like one particular person.
Okay.
I just always, we always strive to run up front, and I guess it's whoever's up there.
Okay. Any drivers you look up to?
I always really looked up to John Ivey and Craig Mintz and Paul McMahon. Those were the Mintz family was the ones that gave me the opportunity to start running 305s, and my dad sponsored John and Craig when I was a little kid, so I always really liked both of them, and they were always just treated me really fairly. And and Paul McMahon was always he always ran up front. I liked him because he was quiet. He wasn't a guy that was big on causing controversies and stuff like that. And those would be my top 3.
I was really worried that you were going to tell us that you looked up to Rico.
Oh, come on.
That's bad, Ron. Come on, man. I'm with Cap on that one. Oh boy. I don't even know where to go from there. Anywhere but
You've
down.
got your notes, Scott.
I do. Actually, I was doing a little bit of prep. I saw that. I saw something about the music that you like, which is, I think, lines up with my musical tastes pretty much. I think it was an older interview though that said that your favorite band was 6 a.m.
Yeah, really big 6 a.m. and Motley Crue fans, Guns N' Roses, and then I like a lot of the 80s rock, and then I listen to a lot of Eminem also.
Did you ever listen to Hammer's House of Hair back in the late 90s? Probably can't get it out that way. Signal didn't get out that far.
I wouldn't have been listening to that stuff in the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't even 10 years old at that
Gotcha.
point.
Well, you're making me feel old. Son of a gun.
Just saying. Just saying.
So did you like The Dirt that came out? Ron's totally channeled out. He has no idea what we're talking about now. Did you watch The Dirt on Netflix?
I actually finally watched it just the other day. I had read the book a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's a great movie.
I enjoyed it as well. Ron, have you seen it?
No.
I think you would enjoy
Missing out.
Yeah, you're
All right.
missing out. Do you listen to any music to get you pumped up before a night of racing?
No, so I'm very self-motivated to race, so I don't need any more enthusiasm to get going.
Just need a little bit of peace and quiet.
Yep.
I read something about the hand signals from your new crew chief. Did you get that
Yeah.
sorted out? What was that all about?
Yeah. So we hired a new crew chief this year, and it's actually pretty comical because his dad had worked for me when I drove, or he didn't work for me, I worked with him, when I drove the Gensman 53 car. And every now and then he would bust out a hand signal that I had no idea what it meant. So his kid now, Zach, stands in the exact same spot. And at one point I look over at him under green, and he gives me this hand signal, and I have no clue what it means. And I just just looking at him going, I got nothing. So, but yeah, Zach and I have hashed out the hand signals.
You ever got that? Did get it sorted out as to what he meant?
Yeah, he
Sorta?
told me apparently whatever his hand signal was, it meant just keep doing what you're doing.
And he probably learned that from his dad.
Yeah.
Well, there was no middle fingers or anything, right?
No,
Okay.
yeah, that one's easy to figure out.
What's the craziest thing that you've had happen racing sprint cars?
Well, I can't really just point out one. We've had some different stuff. I've had stuff where parts break and you still run well and you can't figure out how, or parts bend and you run well, and I can't just point out one single thing.
Okay. Well, I guess if you have a long career, I probably wouldn't be able to answer that question either. So, what are your plans for this weekend? If we don't get rained out,
I believe our plan is to hopefully run in Attica and Fremont. We kind of looked at maybe traveling to Lernerville, but it doesn't look like it's any better.
yeah.
So it's still up in the air. I let Brett take care of that, and I just kind of go where I'm told.
Oh,
Take your helmet bag and.
Yeah.
So you don't have? I'm assuming you have some say as to where you go. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll ask me where I would prefer to go, but I'm pretty carefree on it, and I just want to go race.
All right, and of course the Attica Fremont Championship Series at Attica and Fremont this weekend is 4,000 to win, right? I think that's right.
Yeah. So that's definitely, we hope to get those shows in. Dwayne and those guys are putting together a really good deal, and we definitely want to go run those races and run up front, but looks like it's going to be another one of those weekends of just trying to go where it doesn't rain.
Yeah. What do you think about Millstream? Have you raced out there?
I always thought it was a pretty cool racetrack. I'm hoping they get it open and run some races.
Okay. Have you raced it, though, in the 410, or was that before?
No, I raced it a couple times.
Run any wingless sprint shows?
I've only ever run two in my life. I actually ran one last year for the Wilsons out at Kokomo, and then I ran one like the very first year I started running 410s. It was a lot of fun. I'd like to do it again, but it's, for me, it's easier to get into a car that's already, those guys kind of know what they're doing, because I don't really know how to set the car up. So it's easier for me to get in and just try and drive it versus trying to set it up and drive it.
Did you beat Chad at that race?
Well, Chad didn't run. So.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yes. The answer is yes.
So we kind of covered this a little bit as far as what your plans are for this summer, as far as where you're going to be running. You said the Attica Fremont Championship Series, depending on how things go. And what are some other possibilities we may see you at this year?
We're going to run a handful of the Ohio Speed Week shows. We're going to go up and do some of the Michigan World of Outlaw shows. Okay. And, we're going to try and run a little bit further around, try and get down to Atomics. We're working with Beer Barrel Bourbon to try and, help promote them through a broader area. Michigan, actually.
Okay. Very good. See, we're learning stuff. Sharing stuff about the sponsor. Yeah. Any chance you'd run for the Fremont or Attica track championships this year?
The plan isn't to at this point. The plan's just the only full-time thing we're going to try and commit to was the AFCS deal. The plan wasn't to try and run Attica or Fremont completely every week. Okay.
So you'll be around the area, but running in a bunch of different series then. All-Stars, World of Outlaws.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Awesome. How long do you see yourself doing? I mean, do you see yourself? Is this like where you want to be running a 410, or is there? Do you want to move on to something else eventually? Or is this like a stepping stone for you, or?
No, at this point, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. I kind of try and plan on doing this as long as I can. As long as I can find rides that are competitive, and as long as people want me around.
Okay.
Not to put any pressure on you, but we've had a really good track record of folks being on our show and then winning the next race. So we have kind of high expectations.
Okay.
And we'll be following that.
I hope it continues for me.
Yeah, buddy.
No pressure. He's saying you have to win this weekend is what he's saying.
Oh, it's not me. Okay.
Well, he won last time, so pretty good shot there.
Yeah, you never know.
So we play this little deal on our show here each week when we remember. It's called How Many. Last week we tried to determine how many of the area tracks would be running this weekend. And I think we're going to do that again. How many are actually going to run and not get rained out? Of the 6 tracks, the tracks we're talking about are...
Come on, Scott.
Wait, 5 tracks, because Lima Land already rained out. Attica, Oakshade, Fremont, Sandusky, and Flat Rock Speedway. Yes, there's some asphalt ones in there. Of those 5, how many do you think are going to actually get their program in this weekend?
How many besides Attica run on Friday?
Attica's the only Friday one. Lima Land was the other one. They've already canceled.
Okay, so Attica's for sure. I doubt Attica races. So I'm going to go with 3. 3 that will race.
All right. What do you got, Ron?
1.
That was what I had last week. Kathy? 2 for Kathy. I'm going to go with 0 then. I'll probably not win. Anyways,
I don't think you're going to win.
I don't think so. We hope you win. We hope you get some races in again. Talking to Cap Henry, current leader of the Attica Fremont Championship Series points. So, good luck with that and during Ohio Sprint Speed Weeks and the World of Outlaw races as well.
All right, I appreciate that, guys.
We'll certainly be reporting on those shows.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Cap. You have a good night.
Yep, you guys too.
All right, Cap Henry.
Good racer.
Yeah, nice guy, too. He's got good taste in music. You should see the dirt.
If you say so.
Okay. You had something you wanted to cover here before we get into some other racing news here about
I did.
rule changes.
I got a press release from World of Outlaws / Dirt Car concerning not only the World Racing Group or World of Outlaws, but weekly tracks. Driver attendance at every pit meeting is absolutely mandatory. I don't remember what the fines were for not showing up, but if they do a roll call and you're not there, even if you had quick time, you start halfway back. It was some pretty crazy stuff.
Where did you see those rules at?
It came to my email, Scott.
Of course it did.
That's why I sent it to you, so you could help a little bit. But that's okay.
It's all good.
There were also they specified in heat race events you would be permitted one time where you could stop on the track and have a track worker pull the sheet metal away, once in a heat race and twice in a feature. Now, my question on that is, does that mean that the tracks are now required to provide someone to pull the sheet metal away? Because I know most local tracks don't in this area.
Yeah, and I think the other question we were talking a little bit before we went on is, does that rule apply to your weekly track show?
Yes.
With the UMP rule. You're saying it does.
That is a rule that was sent out to all
it supersedes track rules that are already in place.
Well, it's the Dirt Cars / UMP weekly rules are included in that. Also, they did specify, and on races 50 laps or less, you're allowed 2 spin outs. Second spin out, you're gone.
Under 50 laps is 2 cautions, and this is where Tim Murphy also pointed this out. It was the first thing I noticed when you sent this was 2 cautions and the driver may be parked.
I saw that.
Yeah, I don't like the use of the word "may" because that's like
races.
He may be parked. We may let him go.
Races over 50 laps, you're allowed 2 spins. Third spin, you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Each driver will be allowed 2 cautions. After second caution, driver may be parked. That's under 50 laps. In the event 50 laps or more, each driver will be allowed 3. After that comes out, you may be parked. Right?
Okay.
I guess it depends on how, you need a lawyer to write these rules, for goodness sakes. But, yeah, there was some interesting things on there. Testing will not be permitted at any World of Outlaw dirt car sanctioned tracks 7 days prior to that track's scheduled event. So these rules did not exist before? There weren't any?
No, they are new revisions effective May 1st, so this is hot off the press.
Okay, but I mean, they're not replacing previous rules that said anything
No,
like
not really. I don't...
'Cause I was wondering what the previous rules were.
Yeah, no.
But so the individual tracks had their own rules then
Right.
at that point. So are these in effect right now?
Yeah,
Do you know?
effective May 1st.
So, yes.
To answer your question, yes.
That'd be interesting.
If you don't have access to that, they can check the Hammer Down Racing Report page, and they were in a reply to this week's show.
Yeah, that's where I just found them. So, yeah, that's that'll be interesting to see how local tracks respond to that.
Yeah.
If I would have had more time, maybe next week I'll get some response from some UMP tracks. See what they think.
Some of the
rules.
local tracks.
Yeah.
See if they will be providing someone at the exit of turn 4 to pull the sheet metal away. And that was the spot where it was specified that if you have an issue, you can pull up and stop there.
Yeah. So, you good with that? We done with that?
Sure.
Move on?
Sure. Why not?
I'm just, there was something I have in mind I didn't have written down. I wanted to go before I forget.
Do it.
Atomic Speedway.
Yes.
They are going to, I know we've talked about this in the past, about walls with blunt ends.
Right.
I guess there was an accident with Modified. Did you see the video of that?
I didn't, but I know it happened, yeah.
Basically, Atomic has the wall. There's no wall on the backstretch. It's kind of just open. But then there's a wall that starts in turn 3. And they got a bunch of tires in front of the blunt end of that wall. And there's Modified bounced off somebody and went straight into those tires, and stops almost immediately when that happens. So a lot of tracks have been, it's been, a lot of talk has been going around concerning tracks that have those kind of
blunt-ended walls.
So they made the announcement that they're going to be extending their wall down the backstretch so that blunt end will not be there anymore.
And it will be a merge where you go onto the track.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be like somewhere in the middle of the backstretch. Where
that was what I saw.
Yeah. So,
yay.
Applause to them for taking action there. Also, there was something else. I'm not sure we were allowed to talk about it, though. That deal that they were working on that was being held up by those round things.
TARs.
Yeah. Apparently, that's off the table.
It's off the table.
That's what, as of this afternoon, that's what I was told. Yeah. So, IndyCar Series announced that they are ahead of schedule with implementing the frontal protection device, that little fin. It's like $5,000, I think I read, for this. And it's several pound piece of titanium that's right in front of the driver's face.
If you can afford an Indy car, you can afford $5,000.
I guess, yeah. I can't afford an Indy car, so 29 drivers participated in a test at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They were satisfied with the design of the piece. IndyCar officials decided to make it mandatory on the cars for the IndyCar Grand Prix at Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course on May 11th.
Well, the drivers don't know. It was in front of them. They don't know if it works or not.
Well, that's true. I'm assuming that they don't want to be the test person for that either. I think this was in response to that death they had. Was it a couple years ago at Pocono? Or was that last year? That was 2 years ago, I think it was, where a tire came into the cockpit and, bad things. The NTT IndyCar Series also announced the entry list for the 103rd running of the Indianapolis 500. They have 36 entries with 7 past winners, 7 rookies, 1 driver to be announced. Qualifying is scheduled for Saturday, May 18th and Sunday, the 19th. We already talked about NASCAR returning to a single car qualifying this weekend.
That means that they've got 1 seat that's open, Scott. Maybe you should request the month of May off, the rest of the month, and go see if you can get a ride.
What do you mean?
You could drive Indy.
They only start 33 cars.
Well, they've only got 36. You got to be able to go faster than 3 of them.
I don't know.
You can do it, Scott.
Again, I can't afford the fin let alone a Indy car itself.
Yeah, but you can just buy the ride.
Okay.
It'll already have the fin.
I gotta have sponsorship attached to me to make myself to make somebody want me to be their driver.
There's got to be a pizza shop.
Hey, you want to sponsor
you.
me or Mr. D's? Yeah, Big D's. I mean, the indefinite suspension of NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series driver Austin Wayne Self has been lifted. As you may remember, he had been suspended for a violation of the substance abuse policy that NASCAR has on April 1st.
And he went through
April
their
Fool's
program.
Day. He went through their program, and
in a
the
month.
Road to Recovery program, and he's going to be back competing at Dover tomorrow.
Wow. They must be short on trucks.
Well,
I didn't say that.
Wow, you were just full of it tonight. So, yeah, that's pretty much all the news I have. Should we
Yes.
talk about what's coming up this weekend?
Yeah, talk to Ryan.
Talk to Ryan. No, well, let's say what we're supposed to have. Lima Land's already been canceled. They were supposed to have their season opener, so that's not happening. Attica, as last we checked here, they are still. Thanks, Ryan. I know it is a nice shirt. Adkins Group Amerigas Night tomorrow night at Attica Raceway Park, featuring the AFCS 410 Sprints. That's 4,000 to win. Attica Oakshade Late Model Series. And 305 Sprints. Gates open at 4, racing at 7:45. General admission is $15.
So it's challenge night.
It is. Challenge night. And challenge night Saturday nights at Oakshade Raceway, the Attica Oakshade Late Model Series. That's $1,400 to win for that. When we had Chrissy in here, she mentioned that they were going to up the purse for the those challenge series events. So $1,400 to win for the late models at Oakshade on Saturday the 4th. Also, UMP Sportsman, Bombers, and Compacts. Gates open at 4, racing at 7. Tickets are $14 for general admission. So, and that'll be opening night for Oakshade because they got rained out last weekend as well. Fremont Speedway also in action with the Amerigas Propane Open Wheel Shootout featuring the Attica Fremont Championship Series. Also, $4,000 to win, so you could win $8,000 if you win both races.
Be a big deal.
Cap's going to do that. 305 NRA 360 Challenge and the Boss Non-Wing Sprints will all be in action at Fremont Speedway. Gates open at 4, racing at 7. General admission $15. Sandusky Speedway also in action. They got rained out last week after their demo derby. Mod Street Stocks, Lake Erie Stocks, Renegades Beginner Stocks. Pits open at 3. The gates open at 4. Racing is at 7. General admission is $10 for that. And then finally, Flat Rock Speedway has Jack's Bicycle opening night. They got rained out last week. They're going to run on Sunday last week, and they canceled that modified show. That sucks.
Yeah.
Scouts will get in free at Flat Rock Speedway on Saturday nights. Late models, figure eights, and street stocks. Pits will open at 3. Front gates at 5. Racing at 7. General admission is $15 at Flat Rock, and that's the racing that's still scheduled for this weekend. And let's check out what Ryan says.
We suggest you check the web pages, Facebook pages before you head out.
Yeah, and we'll forward along any issues as well. So listen to Ryan.
This is your weekend weather pit stop forecast. I'm First Alert meteorologist Ryan Weekman reporting from under an umbrella because the rain never stops apparently in northwest Ohio. All right, let's get to it. Start off Friday. We've got Attica, 7:45. Rain should be out of the area by then. Seat's going to be a little bit damp or things a little bit muddy around the raceway, but I think the rain will be over with by race time there Friday evening. Most of it moves out during the morning. Saturday, big evening. We've got Oakshade, we've got Fremont, Sandusky, Flat Rock on the ticket, all at 7 o'clock. It looks like a system is going to work up from the south Saturday during the day, but much of the rain should stay south of the area. So I'm going to give the green lights to each of those raceways and speedways. Look for temperatures to be somewhere in the low 60s or upper 50s at the start of the races. Best chance for rain, if we were to see any. Some showers may sneak in over there towards Sandusky and Fremont. But again, looking pretty good. Drier weather ahead, looks likely starting Sunday. This has been your weekend weather pit stop forecast. Again, reporting from under an umbrella. Download that First Alert weather app. We'll get through it all together. All right. Goodbye, rain. I'm First Alert meteorologist Ryan Weekman.
Blame the weather guy.
Optimistic.
Yeah. optimistic we'll get some racing in this weekend. Hopefully, they can dry things out before this weekend. A lot of rain this week. Rain's still coming now.
Oh,
And,
is it still?
I don't know. Was it raining when you came in?
Yeah, it was
I've been outside for
damp.
a while. Yeah. Were the Mud Hens playing?
Yes.
The game was still going on? Okay.
Yes.
How about them Toledo Walleye?
How about that?
Back in front of the series there.
Now,
with
were
the
you there
Cincinnati
last
Cyclones.
night?
I was.
All right.
It's a good game. Let's see this. This is the playoff beard. And if you're not watching, you can hear it there. That's the playoff beard.
Now, I was jumping back and forth between the Tigers game and the Walleye on TV, and I was pretty confident. Like 4 minutes left, they were going to win, and I think it was 2-1 at that point. Where did those other 4 points come from?
Well,
and that
they scored 5 unanswered goal because Cincinnati actually scored first.
And
and then they pulled their goalie. So
okay,
yeah, the last goal was I think he shot it from his own end of the ice and put it up in the air. It was like a long bomb pass up in the air, and it just landed right in the net. It was pretty sweet.
And people went nuts.
Yeah, that was pretty much rubbing salt in the wound. But they play game 4 tomorrow night at the Huntington Center.
Right.
So,
and then it's back down.
It's not a hockey podcast, but go Walleye. Still working on a guest for next week. Maybe we'll talk to somebody again about that the new UMP rules and see how that affects local tracks.
Absolutely. And it does. It affects all weekly and touring series tracks. It just how it's going to play out.
Working on Haley Deegan in a couple weeks. She gets herself ready for her ARCA debut at Toledo Speedway at the ARCA race there coming up in mid-May. Was it Sue something? I don't remember the new sponsor anymore. Sue something.
Yeah, it's the same one that has been sponsoring them.
Sue Chief?
Sue Chief, yep, that's the one.
Okay. I remember it was Indian something.
It's a plumbing company.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay, then. Good thing they're advertising, then.
If you watched MAV TV with some of the ARCA races, you would know that.
I don't have MAV TV. I am a cable cutter, and I'm unable to have that.
That's sad commentary, Scott.
I know.
Real race fans have MAV TV.
Well, I am also a radio person, and I work on a radio person income, so some things have to go.
That's why I don't understand.
I have a kid going to college, so
I would think on a radio person salary that you'd be headed to Indy this month.
Apparently, you have not been following the trends in radio. Although iHeart did announce this week that we're emerging from bankruptcy. Yeah, they worked out all that stuff.
Cool.
So maybe eventually I'll get a raise and I can afford that Indy car.
I hope.
How about we call it a show?
I think we're about
done.
It's dinner time.
Tune in again. Google, iTunes, iHeart.
This is number 83.
This was show number 82. I believe.
82 in the can.
Yeah. Because I didn't count our best of show.
Okay.
If you count our best of, it'd be 83, but
all right.
This is technically 82. So, yeah.
Well, very good.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Hammer Racing. And thanks to Dave Kemmer for helping out. What was his title? Associate producer?
Yes.
Is that what we're giving?
Thanks for listening, folks. We're gone.
HammerRacingReport.com. Visit it. Everything you need to know is there. See you next Thursday.
You have been listening to the Hammer Down Racing Report from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio. Listen on demand on iHeartRadio